Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
But inside is so delightful.
It's Christmas in July.
Season 5.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Bum.
Bum.
That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers, and welcome to another episode of Christmas in July. We're back. Dragon, you still feeling the holiday spirit?
Yes.
All right. Well, Dragon, tonight we're here to talk about an episode of The Flash, a season 2 episode of The Flash. And Dragon, we kind of dropped a bombshell on air where I was like, by the way, Dragon, there's probably not a good way for me to actually watch all 9 episodes, like building up to catching up, because as of this point I had only seen season 1 of The Flash, folks. I hadn't yet started on season 2. But Dragon, what did I do that made you proud of your boy?
Yes, I think it made me proud of my boy. Just to quote an obscure Disney reference. The thing that made me proud of Tiki was that initially we kind of had. I'm gonna phrase it like this. We kind of had like almost a Pixar moment here. It was a beautiful little kind of chapter from the Pixar tomes, where it's like, let's talk about the big, like when they're making a Bug's Life. When they're making a Bug's Life, the crowd teams were telling the crew on A Bug's Life that, hey, I don't think we can only give you a few ants. We can't do like a whole crowd of ants. It just is technically not possible. And then our guys or the higher ups, they say, okay, look, I'm willing to accept this if that's what you can do, but I think we can do better. And essentially that's what Tiki pulled here, where he told me, I don't think I can physically. I have all the faith in the world to get Tiki. Oh yeah, you gotta get caught up on these 9 episodes in a few days. I'm sure you can do it. He's like, I don't know if I can. I don't know. And basically, he's out of the blue today. It was like, oh,
I mean, keep in mind, I work a 9 to 5 job every day on top of doing the podcast, so
Sure, but I knew he could do it all the time, folks. And anyway, so he tells, and I'm basically saying, okay, fine, all right. If he can't do the 9 episodes, I'll give him like another bullet points. Like at the very least, he can do 2 episodes, and then because in my gut, I knew if he watched these episodes, like he'd want to watch the rest of them. But I just said play ball, and then Tiki out of the blue, it's a Christmas miracle. He tells me, so I give him like the main points he needs to know going into episode 9, which of course is the episode we're here talking about today. I get a message informing me that Tiki. He says, you know what? I'm 4 episodes in, and if we push it back a little, if we push back the time a little bit, I can watch them all. all 9, basically the first half of the season, essentially. You can watch up to 9. He says, yeah, I knew we had it. Yeah. So for a moment, I was very quite proud of my boy. So yeah, so major props. It's a Christmas miracle. Ah.
Okay, so folks, indeed, we are talking about Running to Stand Still. That's the name of the episode, right, Dragon? I'm not crazy.
Might be Running to a Standstill. Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's just Running to Stand Still.
All right.
Hold on. Sorry. Let me.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It's
Running
to
Stand Still.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry. It's been a while, folks. I mean, I've watched all the episodes of Flash, but I've had to revisit. It's been a while since I've revisited season 2. It's all in there. There's the titles a little skimpy here and there.
So, Dragon, before we get into The Flash, of course, The Flash is a big icon in geek culture, a big icon in the DC universe, a beacon of hope. There's someone out there in the geek culture who has given so much to us. Of course, he's been a spokesman for the geek culture community, and he was the director of one of our favorite documentaries about superheroes. Folks, things are not looking good for John Schnepp. John Schnepp, of course, being one of the co-hosts on Collider Movie Talk and the director of The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, on top of other things in the geek culture community. Dragon, you want to lay out a couple more of his credits?
I believe he worked on. He's one of the. I know he's a producer. I think he might have been the co-creator of Metalocalypse.
Yes, co-creator of Metalocalypse. Yes.
Always he had a lot of creative say on that, and yeah, folks, John Schnepp, just very talented director. Very he tried to get a project off the ground that seemed Attack of the Short. It's like he almost like if not like kind of made the term Schweddies known to many, like
Oh
myself. I
no,
know you would have Schweddy.
definitely coined the term Schweddies.
Oh, good. That's even better.
Yeah,
Yes, I mean,
absolutely.
you
I
know,
saw
the
the
term
birth of that dragon.
guys dialed into John
Uh-huh.
Schnepp is absolutely dialed into as Tiki said, to geek culture. This guy knows the difference, and he had like all these phenomenal plans and such. And unfortunately, things aren't looking good for Mister Schnepp these days. So Tiki explain it to the folks.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this cut and dry, folks. He needs a Christmas miracle, a Christmas in July miracle, if you will. So basically, Dragon, what happened is he went in for a routine hospital checkup, and in the hospital, he suffered from a massive stroke. And family put out a very brief statement, Dragon. I'm not going to read it word by word or anything, but
Of course,
the gist of it is that they're making tough decisions on what to do given his state. And also, folks, I'm going to put a link in the description for the GoFundMe for the family, because anything helps. Even $1 would help, because the words that they used for his hospital stay, even so far, minus a possible recovery, is astronomical. So, very, very troubling times for the Schnepp family. It honestly breaks my heart. Dragon, I have been watching Schnepp since the AMC movie talk days, way before Collider. So, he's very much been a beacon of my internet life for the past 5 years or so. I hate to see him in this position. Very much, of course, he's in our thoughts and prayers that he pulls through. And we just figured it'd be appropriate to kind of bring it up during the Flash, because the Flash is kind of a beacon of hope, and he
the
needs.
Flash. The Flash is all about helping people and about heroism, no matter how big or how small. And folks, like a hero, you like the Flash is a hero. You too can be a hero to Mister Schnepp, who's been a champion of the untold stories of superhero comics
Mhm.
and culture. So it's the least we can do for him. At least check it out. Forward it to people. Help out in any way you can. I mean, I learned of Schnepp through again Death of Superman Lives, and Kevin Smith made a post about Schnepp. I had no idea how dire the circumstances were. And again, folks, if we can help in any way, it's again, if he's done so much for us, let's do a little for him. So that's all we can really check out the link.
All right, Dragon, let's get on to lighter pastures. Let's talk about the Flash. So how do we start the episode off?
Well, first off, tell you when we're going to need to go to the image.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Secondly, I just want to just kind of lay the groundwork here in that we don't. Again, I don't really. You're all caught up here, but just in general, season overall in season 2 is in case you're a little curious, Tiki. So season 2 of the Flash, folks. Of course, season 1 and 2 are the real good seasons of the Flash. Season 1, I would equate as kind of the CW's version of a Daredevil season 1. It's kind of the closest they've really kind of come to something like that. And season 2 on the whole, they went really big in season 2. So again, you think, okay, they did kind of meta human of the week in the first season with the Reverse Flash overarching plot. In season 2, they went big with Earth 2, which essentially means they can do anything comic book related. And that like Earth 2 is the playground of like anything. If we ever want to do anything, if we wanted to go kind of Luke Cage in terms of realizing kind of things from the page to the screen, we can do it in season 2 essentially with the little device of.
Hey, Dragon, I'm really enjoying season 2 so far. I mean, obviously, I binged the whole thing in about a day and a half. So, or not the whole thing, but up until this point, yeah.
Roughly half, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, so yes, and then basically Earth 2 is just that fun and compelling device to keep Wells around. We'll get into how they manage that, because of course Tom Cavanaugh as Harrison Wells slash technically the Reverse Flash in the first season. That was a huge. That was a great performance by Tom Cavanaugh. And here we do some. He gets to play the same character, but in a very different way. Again, we'll get into that.
His reintroduction is awesome, and the moment where I was like, okay, I have to basically devote the day to watching this because this is really cool.
Honestly, like a lot of people, I think would agree, seasons 1 and 2 of Arrow are kind of comparable to The Flash in regards of they are also kind of like the two go-to seasons for that show. And season 2 for both The Flash and Arrow, in the second half, they do hit a little bit of bumpy terrain. Nothing that kills the season, but just something that's like not as strong as the first half. And it doesn't really feel like two halves. It's something that just gets a little Gets a little things get like a smidge messy towards the end, but it saves itself with a really cool ending. I'll say that much. And then basically any
Three Dragon. I'm very curious about season 3 because that's the Flashpoint arc, right?
yes, and that's the thing. And basically, things kind of
I know
things are
season 4 is a train wreck. I don't even intend on watching season 4.
well, no. Tiki, season 4 of Arrow is a train wreck. Even here's the thing: is Flash went on. Flash has not gotten bad. It's just gotten not as good as the first seasons. That's all. So, I mean, Flash, again, you can
A
still
problem
watch.
with Flash that I can already tell is it's basically just like you're a metahuman and you're a metahuman. Everybody's a metahuman.
Yeah, season 3 just like basically. I'll warn you about this. Season 3, just your overarching villain is a little. Basically, the overarching villain. Like here we have Zoom, and in season 1 we had Reverse Flash. The overarching villain for 3 is weak sauce. The overarching villain for 4 is really cool.
Hmm.
So that's the thing. You have kind of your good and your bad, but again, like season 3 is like it continues the momentum we do in season 2 here with all the Earth 2 stuff. It keeps up the momentum and does more comic book stuff, which is neat. Anyways, I don't want to drift off like all the Flash stuff here, but one thing I got to say overall here is important. We basically did the correct version of Zoom, of it being 2 different characters, and I went on I went on about this when we did the Suicide Squad Hell to Pay review or the podcast, I should say. And basically, the difference is, we have Reverse Flash and you have Zoom, 2 speedsters, and just the gist of it is, in the comics, Reverse Flash had another like a nickname that was Zoom, so you can understand the confusion that would come from that. But the way it's supposed to go is the way they do it in the show here, where it is 2 different guys. Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, the cool one, and Zoom, who's just kind of this terrifying speed demon. He's supposed to be kind of demon-esque and like otherworldly. And the smart thing that they did, Tiki, is that they made the costume really kind of dark and scary, more speed demon-esque instead of in the comics, which made things more confusing, where it was 2 guys in identical yellow suits and yellow and red suits.
Yeah, I was so confused when we talked about Hell to Pay.
That's the gist. The point is, Tiki, this is the simple way of processing that. And just you're in good shape watching. If you want to get how that whole thing works, this is the proper way of just kind of going through. I'll say that much. It's not for for your deep cut guys. They're probably going to say you didn't explain it right, but folks, that's the gist of it. It's 2 different guys. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
So yes, and also one last thing, very last detail here. King Shark. Now, Tiki, you've seen King Shark at this point.
Oh, of course.
So King Shark, that was the episode that, of course, got Kevin Smith into the world of the Flash. He was told about King Shark in the
that
first.
Guy made me want to see a live-action Sewer Sharks movie.
You mean Street Sharks?
Yes, I think I mean Street Sharks. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, and King Shark. That's the episode that got us Kevin Smith working on the Flash. That and his reaction to basically, I get him watching the show, and then he reacted to the end of season 1. And then Kevin Smith's directing almost at least half of the CW shows these days. All right. Okay. So that said, with that you're all caught up. Let's just dive right into it. So we begin with Zoom himself.
All right. Yeah. So we start with Harrison Wells very ominously running from Zoom. We get some tricky camera angles. The camera's like, going upside down and everything. They do get us all distorted.
Yeah, really sweet. And again, kind of reminiscent of the last Christmas special, which again I really love, by the way, because it was one of the 2.
A lot of mirroring of the last Christmas special that we'll get into, Dragon. I'm glad you bring that up.
Yes, I mean, of course, folks. The Christmas special was a huge. Again, you got to remember, folks, in the CW, specifically with Arrow and the Flash, especially Green Arrow, bad things happen to our heroes around the holidays because that's the mid-season finale, technically. It's the holiday break, and usually something big has to happen. In Arrow's case, it's always horrible stuff happens to Oliver Queen, like really bad stuff happens to him. And the Flash's case, all the big kind of character milestone stuff happens in the mid-season. Of course, we had the huge one last season with Reverse Flash. Basically, we revealed who the Reverse Flash was the last mid-season. In this case, we just do big stuff with. It wasn't as monumental, but we still did big character stuff. We had a big thing with Joe this mid-season, so we'll get into that by the end.
Well, and of course, the thing with Joe mirrors the whole probably my favorite moment that's ever going to be in a Flash episode. Dragon, you ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
The world may need the Flash, but I need my Barry Allen.
I know, yeah. I love that. I need my Barry Allen. Jesse Martin. He's delightful.
I can't get over how much I love Jesse L. Martin. He's like the thing that carries me through this show, Dragon, as someone who's followed him since Rent.
And you haven't gotten to it yet, Tiki, but Joe gets even better in the second half of season 2. They do some really fun stuff with Joe in the second half. You're gonna love. Joe's always good throughout the series, even in season 4. He's still good. So basically, he's not as hugely important and awesome as he is in the first 2, but he's still consistently, oh, it's good old Joe.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, okay, yeah. So we have this great at the camera angles. I love how we spin through the hallway and that wonderful hallways of Star Labs, all this curvature and everything looks great. So after a failed attack, so this Harrison Wells is awesome because he took out King Shark in his first appearance. Like he had this blaster and he bam,
That's
like
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Of course, folks, just so I can say it here, because again, Tiki now knows this, but just in case anyone else doesn't for some reason. What they did is, the real Harrison Wells of our main Earth got killed, and the Reverse Flash took his identity. And this Harrison Wells is from Earth 2, and essentially what the real Harrison Wells, had he not died, would have gone on to do.
Dragon, I know you're not going to get this reference, but it's a very Mad Eye Moody situation from Harry Potter. It very much reminds me of that.
I'll take your word on that. Again, you're absolutely right. I have no idea what that's in reference to, but okay. But the point is, this is Tom Cavanaugh really he actually got to play what Harrison Wells would have been like. He got to extrapolate what he did in that one flashback from the Trickster episode, which we also talked about. So yes,
you just affectionately call this guy Harry.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what they call him. I was just saying that to introduce.
I gotta say that was a really clever device. That was like a really simple right around to distinguishing him.
Yeah, certainly. They call him Harry for short. Good old Harry. Because he basically, the idea is this Harrison Wells, or Harry as we call him, he's grumpy, so they gave him like a cutesy name like Harry. That's the thing. This Harry Wells, he's always grumpy because his daughter is being held hostage. You understand?
While Harry Osborn and Harry Potter are on the side, like, hey guys, we're gonna go hang out with the Jacks.
God. All right. Anyway, back on point. So. Basically, Harry, he's running towards his blaster gun that they took out King Shark with so he could take out Zoom. And, of course, going up against a speedster is too late. So we have this really awesome moment with Tom Cavanaugh here where he pleads for his daughter's life as he knows he's about to die. And just says, look, if you kill me, fine. Just let my daughter's innocent. Spare her life, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, do it. And what does Zoom say to you?
Merry Christmas.
And what's interesting is that he actually, we reveal this as it goes on, but his gift is actually kind of being amenable to Harry's request here, which is kind of interesting.
Dragon, to me, Zoom has a very Jim Cummings-esque voice.
Well, you know whose voice actually is?
Who?
Tony Todd.
Who now?
Tony Todd.
Okay, that voice sounds really familiar, but
yeah, it's I'm trying. For the life of me, I can't think. I'm not a huge Tony Todd guy, but his voice is very memorable. It's like a really deep. He has like a famous deep voice. You might want to look that up as we go through things.
Okay.
I'd say I don't know why I keep thinking Tony J, but I know it's not. It's actually Tony Todd. That's anyway.
Yeah, I would know if it was Tony J.
I know exactly. I'm just saying because I know more about when I hear Tony Todd, I keep thinking Tony J, and then I forget to look into Tony Todd. That's what my kind of my fatal flaw with Tony J. Tony Todd is. Anyway, so earlier, Joe and Iris they're chatting about Christmas gifts, and we have this fun meta gag here, by the way, because these are the actual toys that they sell for the shows. I can speak to this in the comic shop I go to all the time. They sell toys from the CW shows, and Iris has gotten a Flash action figure, and she has this gag about I couldn't find any Green Arrow, and of course Joe is, as you saw, Joe isn't crazy about the Green Arrow. He says, "Who would make a toy that crazy, man?" So it's kind of fun that they worked in the actual merchandising into the show.
I looked into this guy, and honestly, Dragon, he's got a ton of stuff. I don't even know where to start.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, he's got a whole laundry list of things. I mean,
yeah.
Those are some biggies.
So, anyways.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Product? Are we talking product?
Yes. Get your Flash and Green Arrow action figures.
There's going to be a lot of products this episode, Dragon.
Oh, most assuredly. But yes, but yeah, I mean, I just love how they worked in kind of like it's kind of a Captain America thing that we love in the MCU, where okay, this character he has the comics and the movie serials and the trading cards and everything, and with our CW shows, we have is at the very least, Flash and Green Arrow have their own action figures, which are hilarious. Also, some of the villains got some too. Like Captain Cold has an action figure within the show. And again,
Yeah,
these are literally the same
villains are
figures
gonna
that
have
they.
fun. The villains are also going to have some fun products this episode that we'll go over.
Absolutely, and oh, we'll get to that. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I just love the Captain Cold. Even like they worked in the actual action figures into the show, which is so cute. Anyway, so you'll notice they never focus on it because there are if you hold on it, you're going to see that it says from the show The Flash. That's why they can't hold on. It's literally just, I don't know if they cosmetically changed the boxes or anything, but that's the thing. Like, I guess they're trying to avoid a freeze frame. That's why it keeps moving in frame. Anyway,
Tricky.
yes. So again, handy prop in the grand scheme of things. So let's see. They want Joe wants to get Barry something meaningful. After all, this is 12 months after what happened with poor Eddie Thawne. Poor the officer who sacrificed his life to defeat the Reverse Flash.
Oh boy. Okay, get out the trope list. Tragedy around Christmas time. Wanting to seek out the perfect gift.
Coveted figure because Iris had like had a Turbo Man gag about Flash because she had to fight an old lady for it. So,
Of course.
all right. Our villain saying Mary. Oh, wait a minute. This is wonderful. We have the Reverse Flash said Merry Christmas at the end of the first Christmas special, and now Zoom has said Merry Christmas at the top of this Christmas special. So Speedster wishing, saying Merry Christmas dramatically.
My God, it all fits.
It does, though, right?
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
All right. So let's see. So Iris.
So Iris has a Christmas dilemma.
Yes. Well, she has a suggestion for Joe.
Oh yeah.
Well, we'll get to her dilemma a little later on, but she suggests Joe doesn't know what to get Barry, and she has a really great suggestion. You know what that is?
The watch.
Yes, Grandpa's watch.
I hid this watch up my ass for 10 years.
Well, you just really took the holiday sentiment right out of that one, didn't you?
That's my job, Dragon. That's my job.
Yes, because nothing said.
I want you to know this watch has been places you don't want to know about.
Oh God.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Anyway, so the actual heartwarming significance to this watch is that Joe's father gave him this watch because Joe was always running late, which is a really sweet notion because Barry Allen, before his speed, he was a character who was always running late. So it's a really nice kind of character connection between Joe and Barry, and kind of we reflect kind of how they were in their youth. So the idea is Grandpa's messages were always his gifts were always lessons of like, hey, don't be late all the time. Here's a watch so you don't be late. And Joe, this is so delightful, and I love how I love the fatherly parallels throughout this whole episode. The theme of fatherhood.
Oh my God, absolutely, yeah.
And of course, we've always had a strong theme of fatherhood throughout the Flash, especially the first season because we had all the father figures with Reverse Flash, who again he became a father figure to his archenemy, and the Cisco, and of course Joe and Joe and Barry, and of course Barry and his actual father. It was like Father Palooza in the first season. It really was. And thematically, of course, the Joe and Barry bond, and of course, and Joe, of course, with his big revelation of the episode. Anyway, so Joe mentions to Iris that he promised that if he had a kid, he would only give fun presents. When he had a kid, he only give fun presents. And basically mentioning if sons and everything. If I had a son, I'd give him fun presents. And mentioning that, Iris feels very guilty. Therefore,
she has a dilemma.
Yes.
Haven't pulled that one out in a while.
Oh, sure. Right. So, okay, so getting to the next part, we got Barry and Patty. They're getting intimate. You know, they're dating. You know, they're a real cute couple. What do you think of Patty Spivot? After all, Piggy, what do you think of Patty?
She's a nice girl, Dragon, in the
I
best.
know, right? Yeah, which would give Barry, in the grand scheme of things, a dilemma.
Oh God. Oh
No,
God.
no, seriously, it would be a dilemma because again, like the audience is rooting for Barry and Iris about the same time. It's like, oh, that Patty Spivot, she's so nice, darn it.
No, I'm sorry. At this point, I'm really over Iris, Dragon. Iris is probably one of the weak points of the series for me.
Well, we'll see if that changes for you. Just give it time, Tiggy. Just give it time. Especially
Eh,
second half of two, Tiggy. Second half of two. That's all I'm gonna
really?
say.
Second half of two. Okay.
I
Okay.
actually met. I think I've told you this before, just in case, because we've only really properly talked about Flash twice, but in case you haven't, I actually met the actress who plays Iris,
Nice.
Candace Patton. She's really nice. I talked to her about the second half of season two. And, she's really mental, really friendly. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so Barry and Patty are getting a little intimate, getting kind of cute. Iris walks in and again. She's supportive of Barry and his new relationship, and that means a lot to Barry. And then we have this really great moment. So after Patty kind of excuses herself, um, Barry and I love this. I love this is Barry's main plot this episode, and it makes sense they would do this around the holidays, given the significance of the Reverse Flash in the first Christmas special. That my favorite thing of season two, Tiki, is Reverse Flash at the very top of this season. He got Barry's father out of prison. He exonerated his father by says he challenges Barry basically in the way I love in Daredevil season 1 and 2 that the Kingpin at the very end of season 1 issues a challenge to Daredevil that a man in a silly costume can't change things. And in the beginning of Daredevil season 2, he's trying to prove him wrong. And in that respect, we have that here this season in that the Reverse Flash leaves a message as looking like Harrison Wells, where he basically as Harrison Wells he says, "I Harrison Wells on tape, I admit to the murder of Nora Allen." He basically he claimed responsibility for the death of Nora Allen, which means his father was able to walk free from prison.
Mm.
And I just love that challenge of like, I'll give you this. You say this is what you want, but I know you're not going to be happy. And basically, I just love that as the challenge that's bouncing around Barry's mind this whole season. Barry's trying to be happy, and he's trying to prove the Reverse Flash wrong. He basically says, Reverse Flash got inside my head. Just this challenge to be happy was so fascinating for me. And of course, kind of that twisted fatherly kind of parallel he had, that fatherly bond that he has with the Reverse Flash. Like, this is the father figure saying, "Hey," it's like almost like the abusive father, like the emotionally abusive father saying, like, "Hey, I hate you on some level, but I still support you. I will do what you want." But it's like the father who's never supportive of the kid's needs, saying, like, I'll give you whatever you want, but you're never going to be happy, and you have to deal with that. It's like, oh my god, it's fascinating.
No, you're absolutely right, Dragon. That was one of the things that really hooked me into season two was the fact that the thing that we've been fighting for throughout season one, it's like, hey, it's automatically solved now. Free pass, get out of jail free card.
Yeah. And that's all great. And of course, going from one fatherly dynamic, we have Iris looping Barry in because Iris has been keeping the secret, and now she's kind of looping Barry in on the whole Francine affair. Do you want to recap the Francine affair from what you've kind of?
Oh my god. Okay, well, the Francine affair, Dragon, it was one of the things that was kind of slowing down the season for me, so maybe that's why I'm not loving Iris. But
And again, T, I think you're not really going to see any more of the Francine stuff. So again, that's why I keep saying second half. I think will be more amenable to you. But anyway, keep going.
Sure. So essentially, Francine is Iris's long lost mother who walked out on her when she was a baby, and Joe lived his life basically saying that she was dead until she resurfaced in season 2 in a very soap opera way for a number of episodes.
And you're not wrong. I don't disagree. You're not wrong.
All right.
Anyways, but Francine met with Iris privately, and she revealed something.
Well, it's more like Iris dug up something on Francine.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. So Iris learned that Joe had a son.
What's a twist?
Yeah, so that Joe, so basically Francine, before she walked out, she was pregnant. She had that child and everything, and now Francine's dying. So basically now, with there's with the family that they could have had kind of ending. Now there's even more guilt on Iris, and of course Joe kind of thinking about oh boy, like I thought I was going to have a son in life, and I had Iris, which is wonderful. And he's not like complaining or anything. He's just like, yeah, he has no idea.
As is Barry Allen.
Exactly. So again, Joe's just he's kind of living up. Everything's going gangbusters for Joe. And Iris has this huge bombshell which she has not shared because she doesn't want to break her father's heart. And you understand where I think you understand where she's coming from. And again,
I like
it's honest.
how Joe didn't want to tell her about Francine.
That's the thing, Tika. I think at the end of the day, and the reason I absolutely get your points on the whole Francine thing. It is soap opera, but I think the issue itself is kind of fair game, in that Joe kept a big secret from Iris, and Iris is kind of keeping that from him, and they reach kind of a moment where they kind of get past their rhetoric, so to speak.
So how's Wally, generally speaking?
Well, generally speaking, he's fun. I think he really gets going, and I'll say he really gets going in season 3 because you got to remember Wally's a fan favorite. Not, I don't mean from the CW show. I'm saying as a character in general, people love Wally West in general.
Isn't he kind of like the Flash's equivalent to Robin?
Essentially, yes. He basically, the idea of Wally West is kind of a night. Yeah, you're right. It's very appropriate comparison. That you say it is that he starts off as Kid Flash, and in the future, and again, I don't know if they're doing this on the show or not. I'm just saying traditionally the way it goes is that he started as the sidekick, and he became the actual Flash. He took on the mantle, took on the costume and everything. That's how it goes. There were two Flashes in the comics. You had Barry Allen, you had Wally West. Like the animated shows, that Flash, like DCAU, that's Wally West technically.
Gotcha.
I'm saying that's the thing, but in Wally traditionally he was white and with red hair, and again it was as before we had kind of the revamp, and it's a cool revamp, the whole kind of extended family and everything. It was really neat. Anyway,
But wait, Joe and Iris West, were they from the comics at all, or is that
they were from the comics, but not as like wonderfully. I mean, Iris was basically like Lois Lane essentially. That was
okay?
kind of her. I think that you'll find that the best versions of those characters are from the CW show. I would say that much. Definitely, Joe West came alive in the CW show.
Gotcha.
So, like, I don't believe the whole extended family, they took Barry in plotline. I don't think that was in any of the comics before the show. So that's like they were around, but not in a substantial role as they are here. So I guess getting back to things, the point is Iris loops Barry on the whole Wally thing. Like I know Joe has a son as Wally, and Francine's dying, and I found this out. So Barry votes very smartly. He votes that they tell him together. Like Iris, you don't have to tell him alone. I will tell him with you and show support. Really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's this fun transition of we set this whole thing up of like, oh, I wonder if we're going to get any snow. It'll be a white Christmas after all. It's going to be set up for later on. Meanwhile, going from Snow to some other Snow, Caitlin Snow, more accurately, Jay Garrick and Caitlin Snow. Caitlin lost her significant other at the beginning of this season. She's been kind of reeling over that, and she's met Jay Garrick, and the two have hit it off.
Yeah, Jay Garrick is another character I really like from season 2. He's very Chris Evans Captain America-esque to me.
Yeah. I mean, Jay Garrick, of course, famously in the comics, and I love how they worked this in here. And again, at the end of season 1, Tika, they built this in there because his helmet came through the breach. It came through when the time machine started off. It kind of flew through. And I'm sorry, maybe not the time machine. The giant rift that was in the sky that Barry had to say. The man who saved Central City. That whole thing.
Sure.
The point is that Jay Garrick in the comics was the first Flash before they reinvented him with Barry Allen and everything, like in the 70s, or sorry, not in the 60s. That's when they basically the new versions of Green Lantern and the Flash were in the 60s, but in the comics it was like you had like the older Alan Scott Green Lantern and the Jay Garrick Flash, who was pretty much as you see him here, pretty much. I'll say this much, Tegan, and again, just in case anyone's wondering, I have to make this disclaimer here. Jay is hiding something. We don't know this yet. Jay's hiding something. I won't say how big a reveal this is. Just Jay has a little secret. it ties into like him like losing his speed. I'll say that much. And that's so. If anyone's wondering, yes, I'm aware of the thing with Jay Garrick, but Tiki doesn't know it yet, so I'm not going to spoil that for him quite yet. So the point is,
All right,
there's a neat little reveal with Jay Garrick. Anyway, so I just want to get that out of the way so we don't get bogged down by it later on. So yes, they're working on the breach together. I mean, I think they're kind of a cute couple. They got chemistry. And you're right, there was kind of like there's an old school mentality about Jay Garrick that we saw in that really great flash to I think you saw in like episode 4 or something when we see Earth 2 with Harrison Wells and his daughter and Jay Garrick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, again, Jay Garrick's like an old school Golden Age Flash in like how he acts and everything. I love this.
That's where the Steve Rogers comparison comes from.
I love this actor, by the way, Teddy Sears. He's a really good actor. I've seen him in some other stuff, and he's I thought he was delightful in the role here. Okay, let's see. So basically, they're working on the breach solution. Basically, all these Earth 2 guys are coming through these breaches, and the main crux of season 2 is that they need to stop. They need to seal up the breaches, so Zoom can't send his bad guys through to do his bidding. That's the main gist of season 2 and the bad guy plot.
Mm-hmm.
At least half of it. And because of all this breach stuff, Zoom has stolen Jay Garrick's speed. Again, there's a little more to it, but I won't spoil anything. The point is these Jay Garrick's speed is because Zoom is taking his speed, and these two they like each other, and Jay pulls a lot of Earth 2 jokes on poor Caitlin Snow, poor Danielle Panabaker. She's wonderful. Again, if anyone remembers her, hey, from Sky High.
Sure. Also, Dragon, we're a half hour in, and we're literally like, I don't know, like,
you're right. We'll
6 minutes into the episode.
All right, you're right. We'll pick up the pace.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, he pulls a lot of Earth 2 jokes on her. Like, she like, hey, I know Christmas is Caitlin. It's, it's Christmas. It's on both Earths. So, Harry bumps into Cisco. He's holding like his big Zoom secret that he's not telling anyone in the episode. Meanwhile, Weather Wizard, take us through it.
Yes. So the weather whiz. Say that's 3 times fast.
The Weather Wizard.
He shows up at the bank. Wait.
At the prison, He shows up at Iron Heights.
Yeah, I'm sorry, at Iron Heights, right. And I like how at first sorry.
He shows up and he has like the cool line like "Let it snow," and of course he has like a blizzard kind of swarming through the place.
I'm sorry, is this where we get like kind of like the pleasant conversation about the ball game, or am I thinking of something completely different?
I'm trying to think. Ball game.
No, never mind. You're right. It is just the "Let it snow" line. I don't even know what I'm thinking.
All right, so he's broken into Iron Heights, and of course, who's housed in Iron Heights? Flash villains.
It's time for a reunion.
Yeah, so he frees 2 very iconic rogues from the Flash's Rogues Gallery, and 2 of my favorites, by the way. One, he frees Captain Cold, played by the wonderful Wentworth Miller, because he owes him because Captain Cold had freed him in the previous season, like he owed him a debt. And the Trickster, oh my God, it's Mark Hamill.
Yeah, and Mark Hamill is just like, of course, every time we see live action Mark Hamill, I don't care what any Last Jedi haters say. Every time we see live action Mark Hamill, it's always a pleasure. And in this one, it's absolutely great. I love how physical he is. I love how he's using like the candy canes and everything in the episode.
The licorice, because he loves that licorice. Yes. Let's see. So yeah, and then of course he has like this great cutout of like the Flash's logo, and he has this great line there. It's just the great cold open line, I guess. He says early commercial break line. I can't remember. It says, "It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas." Yeah, it's great. It has all these pictures of like dead Flash on the wall, like in crayon, like a kid drew it. It's delightful. It's always great to see Mark Hamill. Anyway, so getting back on the things, we have Joe and Barry. They're on the scene. Officially, Santa hates us. Again, our rogues have broken out. And they're teaming up together around Christmas. That's not good. And a little fun fact: the Weather Wizard was the first villain that they went up against.
Oh, really?
Well, his brother, the Weather Wizard was 2 characters, and they were brothers who were like partners in crime, and Joe saved Barry from being killed by the first Weather Wizard. That's how that was.
That's been a while.
That was the very first episode. He killed the first Weather Wizard, and that's why this Wizard has such an axe to grind with the Flash, because his brother was killed by these two guys. Well, by Joe, and Barry's the Flash foil. So, other big thing they set up this season that's in this episode. Joe warns Barry that Patty's going to take this case very personally because Mark Martin, the Weather Wizard, killed her father in the bank robbing human days. That he and his brother they killed him during a bank heist.
Which essentially leads Patty to being kind of the very understandable Scrooge this episode.
If not her, then Wells. If not her, then Harry. One of those two guys. They're definitely the Scrooge.
Or would you say it's a fusion Scrooge?
I'd say give me a double Scrooge at this table, please. I think it's a Scrooge double dose. It's
a Scrooge double shot.
Sure.
All right.
Double dose. Okay, so okay, let's see. So basically, Barry confronts Patty with this. He's afraid that she's going to take this personally, be reckless. She denies this. She's very determined to capture the Weather Wizard. She kind of storms off. Meanwhile, we're at the toy factory. A little obscure Toyman reference. Okamura. So Mark Hamill's having just a blast this time around, and the idea is like they reference or do a trick. Like Mark Hamill makes an appearance, or at least the Trickster is referenced or makes an appearance each season of the Flash. Season 4, unfortunately, because he was doing Last Jedi, did not have him appear in that season, but they did something with the Trickster period, though. The Sun Trickster. So they did Trickster stuff that season anyway. So, he's singing Christmas carols like, deck the halls with body parts from a girl named Holly. For la 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 la. Oh, my God.
Pretty sure that's not the words. Well, that's not the spirit, Mocky Mock.
So, Tiki, let me say this on the whole with our bad guy team, because this is important. So, this is a very iconic thing with the Flash that we kind of flirted with when they were all being in the big prison transport episode. That again, that's where Weather Wizard owes Captain Cold one. This is the first proper Flash villain team up, and this is a thing that defines the Flash as a character. His villains, like individually, they're not much, but when they team up. Not kind of Reverse Flash, of course. Like your average Joes. Like these are average Joes with an axe to grind. And when they team up, that's the thing. That's the one thing that compares the Flash to Batman is that his villains like to team up a lot. And this is like the first proper time that they've done that, where you have like a major kind of rogues team up. And short of a couple other, and they eventually do all the iconic rogues in the Flash TV series, but this is the first time we kind of do that grouping, and that's the thing I've always wanted from a Flash show of any kind. I want villains and I want them teaming up. So we got it here, and this is great. So Martin he broke him out for reasons. They're not friends. Oh, that's not the holiday spirit, Mocky Mark. Christmas is a time for togetherness, and what says togetherness more than mass graves? So Leonard Snart, of course, the wonderful Captain Cold, very calculating, smart guy. He doesn't kill people for killing people's sakes. This is the guy who's like so good he doesn't have to kill people. Snort's asking, hey, what's the deal? Why'd you break us up? Well, I owed you, and he's crazy. It's a compliment. They all want the same thing. They all, of course, Captain Cold being very snarky, fashion advice, the Flash dead. And Mark Hamill steals it here with, that was more of a New Year's resolution, but hey, I'm flexible. Snort, after his previous really awesome encounter this season with the Flash, he warns like, hey, you don't want to overestimate him. I mean, 3-on-1 does make for a good team up. Basically, the Weather Wizard's thinking is, hey, 3 versus 1, and after the Flash had the wind knocked out of him by Zoom, again, like if we're going to get the Flash, this is the time to do it. Snart warns him like, hey, don't underestimate the Flash, because he has a respect for Flash, and he has like he respects the Flash.
I love how Snart is at this point in the series almost becoming like an anti-hero.
And then in Antigua, what they did so cleverly is they set this up because they did an anti-hero thing with him in the spin-off show Legends of Tomorrow, which they set up in this first half. You've seen both parts of them setting this up.
Nice.
Yeah, you're right. It all is absolutely contributing towards that. So Snart's unsure because again, deep down, he's kind of slowly becoming an anti-hero, whether he'd like to admit it or not. And Martin says, "What is it, Snart? You going snuff and have the big ice gun versus versus like guy with the ice powers,
I love the
trickster."
physical ice effects too. I love all the prop work.
Oh yeah, I can't get enough of the gold gun. And you know, the trickster's coming like, "Boys, boys, boys, mellow out, Martin. Don't have a snit, Snart. I have an idea. Let's go out, have a few drinks, kill some carolers. We'll all feel better." Yeah, he's eased the tension in the room, and Martin saying, "Well, what do you say, Snart?" And of course, it's kind of a dot 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 moment of what does he say? What does he say? And as much as I'd love to see Snart kind of join the fray, we're going to see what happens. Meanwhile, Team Flash, they're devising essentially the lightning rod solution. Where Barry remembers from the from the alternate timeline, it's so coincidental and so fun that Cisco comes up with the lightning wand idea. And Barry remembers that, oh my god, yeah, that's exactly what he did on in the other timeline when he accidentally went back in time in the first season. Like, yeah, it was, and of course Harry says, you should never mess with time travel. Says, yeah, the other you said that too. So I'm sorry. Also, Harry had this great Godfather joke here, which says, "Why aren't you sleeping with the fishes?" Wait, Earth Two has the Godfather. Every Earth has the Godfather. Vito. Which that line, Tiki, that cracks me up because the idea is that Earth 2 has the Godfather, but the characters' names might have changed because he calls Cisco Vito, as in Vito Corleone, which he is not. That makes me think that Fredo is like named Vito like the weakest of the.
So it's
Like,
just like weird, like little trivial Mandela effect type things.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like minor differences that just compile upon each other. With like, so you have the same things in Earth 2, but differences. All right.
All right, so waiter, I believe we need our second Scrooge, please.
Yes, Harry.
All right, so Caitlin informs him that, well, Barry, and very valid point here, Harry's daughter still kidnapped by Zoom, so might not be such a happy holiday for him.
No wonder. Um, let's see. So yes, so absolutely. Meanwhile, again, so we break the tension there because Barry has something to do. He and Iris they confront Joe. It's the big Joe scene, folks. One of the big. We have two big Joe scenes in the episode here, and here's the first one. So,
last time I saw the two of you were the last time I saw the two of you looking at me like this were when you were. Yeah, sorry, Dragon. I am butchering that. Jesus Christ.
Last time I saw you.
Okay, the last time the two of you. The last time the two of you were looking at me like that, it was when you both took my convertible on a joyride and wrapped it around the big oak tree on Fairmont Drive. There we go. I got it out. Give me a cookie.
Well, maybe some crumbs. Okay,
I'll take it.
Okay, so basically, the long story short, Iris tells Joe about the meeting she had with Francine and the revelation that she came across that you have a son, and Joe, oh my God, Jesse Martin, give him an Emmy, folks, give him an Emmy quick, because I mean, you see the man is so heartbroken in the realization. And he says, "What's his name?" Wally. Says, "Oh my God, we were going to name him Wallace. If we had a boy, we were going to name him Wallace." And so you can see the shell. Like, I felt so bad for Joe.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's like finding out that you were a father and like you were cut out of the life, like this perverse justice because you cut her out of the life. Where again, Joe made a complicated decision, not out of like a place of malice, but out of a place of helping his daughter grow up in a safer environment, essentially. And
Jesse L. Martin kind of cut his teeth doing very tragic stuff with his Rank character. I gotta say, he was one of the most tragic characters in that play. So,
not that I've seen like every episode or anything, but because I'm more for Law and Order had various spin-offs, but Jesse Martin and Law and Order was also really great, and he had like a lot of great dramatic moments. Like there's one moment that comes to mind where there was a guy who got away scot-free for something. He almost shot him in the courthouse. It was really a powerful moment.
Nice.
So let's see. So then we have this beautiful moment. This is why we love Joe, folks. Like these moments right here, where Joe, like he doesn't like snap at him, he doesn't yell. He's so devastated. He like Iris trying to console him, and he says, I just need a minute to sit with it. Where again, he's not shouting, he's not getting it.
It reminds me of that Aunt May moment from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, you're right. It is like the MA moment. Oh my god, yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay, so then
Mhm.
they return home. Iris and Barry return home, and then we have this beautiful Christmas card image of Snart saying "ho ho ho" while holding a reindeer mug of hot cocoa.
God.
And we cut back from commercial, and he says, "You know, cocoa isn't cocoa without mini marshmallows, and you don't have any. I checked." He's great. Oh my god, I love Wentworth Miller. He's delightful. So Flash obviously is not happy that he's broken into his house, and we have this classic Captain Cold stuff. I can't get enough of, Tiki, where Snart has a contingency for this, where as he's pinned against the wall, he tells Barry he's made upgrades to the cold gun, and basically there's a dead man switch on the cold gun. Like if he lets go, they like he Flash might survive, but Iris won't in the proximity. It's like, oh my god, it's so clever.
Yeah, sure. So anyways, so we get the revelation that he's there to give a holiday gift, if you will, to the Flash.
Yes, a heads up.
Which is and of course we explain that, Trickster is just there to cause chaos and um God.
Martin wants
Yeah, yeah.
revenge. Tricksters wants to cause chaos, and basically, long story short, there's no money in it for Captain Cold, and he won't admit it. But he and Barry really bonded in like the episode in this season where we got an insight into Captain Cold's crappy home life, and like he killed his own father, and there's like a lot of really great stuff with Captain Cold. So the Flash saved his sister in that episode, so he owes Barry, and on the whole, he usually respects Barry. So he won't admit it, but deep down, he likes him. He doesn't want to see him get double teamed at a very vulnerable time like this.
Uh-huh.
So and basically Barry confronts him with this saying like, "Hey, Snart, like it or not, you have honor. You told me this because you're. Why don't you help me take him down?" He says, "Not my job. I'm no hero." He says, "Well, you're doing a lousy job at being a villain." Then we have this beautiful bit where on the way out, he says, very seriously and stoically, he says, "Merry Christmas, Barry." Oh, it's great. Yeah. So, Captain Cold fandom aside, we're in the pipeline. Of course, let me speed through this one here. So we're in the
Okay.
pipeline. Joe reflects on how like 10 years ago, his parental instincts would kick in. Like when Iris needed him, he was there. When Iris or Barry needed him, he was there. While he had those perennial instincts, he couldn't determine that he had a son. Like he blames himself for not being a detective, not knowing you have a son. That's kind of embarrassing if you're a detective, not knowing this. At least he's blaming himself for something that he would never be able to find out. And he's kicking him. He's kicking himself around for that. And Barry says, "Look." Because basically he blames himself for and again this is kind of I'm gonna highlight this for a moment here. You do have kind of there was always a choice from the beginning of the Flash where we have traditionally in the comics Iris and Joe were white, and we made them black, and kind of made more of like a kind of an interesting mixed family and everything. And I got to tell you, I like that you add like another level of it when we have like a black Wally West, because when you think of it, Wally West grew up, and this is what Joe's kicking himself around for here, is that he grew up without a father teaching him how to do things. And I kind of like that, he contributed to yet another black youth growing up without a father when he could have easily prevented that. So I kind of like have that little additional layer there. Again, it doesn't make or break the episode, but I like that it's just kind of there, it's kind of an extra layer of goodness there.
Yeah, sure, sure.
So
Also, Dragon, I think I can I'm going to try to at least coin a new term for our Scrooge cataloging here, all right?
all right.
I feel like at least 3 characters, Patty, let's see, Patty,
Harry.
Joe, and who else?
Harry.
Harry, yeah, right. Patty, Joe, and Harry are all suffering from Scrooge syndrome.
It's a good term, Scrooge syndrome.
Where it's like it's basically a syndrome where no one has like a complete top to bottom Scrooge arc, but there's multiple people that are experiencing Scrooge like symptoms.
I could buy that. I kind of like that.
All right. Scrooge syndrome.
All right. So let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So I think he's blaming himself. Okay, Barry reassures Joe that look, I know because what you've done for me, you raised me growing up. You would have done the same things for me that you would have done for Wally. Really nice scene. Again, Barry and Joe always like it's always a home run in the Flash. Yeah. Meanwhile, Trickster takes over the airwaves at the police station, and he started to sing his rendition of "Flashy the Red-Nosed Speedster had a very shiny suit, and if you ever saw it, you might even puke." No, it's delightful. It's just this Mark Hamill singing the twisted versions of Christmas carols. You can see it all day. It's wonderful. So Trickster, he basically looks forward to disemboweling his enemies this holiday season, and he wants to fill a stocking with bloody flash parts. So he's delusional and twisted in the best of ways. You know, it's just he's playing up the madness of the Trickster. He does something towards the end of this episode that is so true to the Trickster. And a lot of people could easily say it's Mark Hamill playing a Joker-esque character, and you wouldn't be necessarily wrong.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Dragon, as much as I enjoy Mark Hamill, I mean, yeah, to me, there wasn't much depth to his performance this time around beyond just like, look at me, I'm playing the Joker again.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. He's kind of feeling his Christmas with the Joker oats, definitely, this episode. However, I will say this at the end, because again, the Trickster episode, my favorite episode of the Flash period. That's all that's all delightful. That's Mark Hamill he's basically revisiting the character that he played in the '90s, and it's him playing the Trickster, not the Joker, and that's great. And like some Joker touches, but it's all Trickster. And here it's kind of the reverse of that. But we do have this one big Trickster touch towards the tail end of this episode. So we'll get there when we get there. But yes, so basically he looks forward to disemboweling the Flash, and we see Team Flash reacting to this, and Jay Garrick says, "Yeah, there's no Trickster on Earth too," which is true, but again, it's something that we kind of explore in other seasons.
Turned into like a Boy Who Cried Wolf scenario at this point.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So, Spivot, she sees the clues. Team Flash sees the cornea clue. Basically, if you look in the cornea, you basically freeze frame the Trickster's cornea. And they see a bear reflected in it, like a toy bear. And Tiki, what's that toy bear's name?
Oh God, Dragon, I have it written down. It's the Jiggly Wiggly, right?
Mr. Jiggle Wiggle, and I just love how Tom
Wiggle. That's right, Mr. Jiggle Wiggle.
Tom Cavanaugh is Harry, and Harry's kind of the old business Wells. That's the idea. He's like less kind of like the fun, silly, like again, like it's Reverse Flash padding his part. He's not playing that.
We had a great bit early in the season where Cisco's kind of like having this running gag of like, how is this version of Wells more of an asshole than the guy who ruined all our lives?
I mean, literally, the one that killed Cisco in that one time live was so much nicer than this was. I just like this Wells has like an acerbic humor. Like he is lighthearted, but he's grumpy. Again, he's on this earth for a very dire reason. He's trying to save his daughter. And by the same token, he's very jaded, soon ruined his life and everything, and he wants again, there is a nice guy, and that comes out as the show goes on. But it's Cavanaugh playing a different layer of Wells. It's like basically, what if Barry had his hero, but his hero that let him down more than the father figure did? It's kind of interesting. It's perverse interesting. That again, he's grumpy, but he has this dry wit to him, and that's what Wells is kind of doing here. And Tom Cavanaugh knows exactly what he's playing when he says, with a straight face, "Mr. Jiggle Wiggle." They're looking like, what? And Mr. Jiggle, it's a toy. I got. Apparently, Mr. Jiggle is also something that exists in both Earth 1 and Earth 2. By the way, which is a little fun fact.
Yeah.
So they say the point is they see this toy in the Trickster's cornea, and that leads to the hideout, where the manufacturing plant where the Jiggle Wheels were produced. Patty's there as the Flash meets her there, and they've walked into a trap. They've walked into a trap, and the trap is, get it while it's hot, folks. I mean, are you tired of Christmas products being lobbed at you like Mr. Jiggle Wiggle?
Oh God, here we go.
Here's what you need. You need exploding C4 dreidels.
C4 dreidels. Oh my God, Dragon. As soon as I saw this, I was like, yep, this is going to be a fun one.
Celebrate Hanukkah with
That's right, folks. If you want to add a little edginess to your Christmas, if you want to, if you want your children to experience what it's like to put their lives into their own hands, if you want to give them a heart-stopping thrill they won't soon forget, pick up a C4 dreidel.
Seen it before? I don't think so. C4 all the time.
Oh God. Warning, C4 dreidels are not responsible for any missing body parts or injuries to children.
Celebrate your own risk. Happy Hanukkah!
Also, this is probably the most cultural thing we're going to get this Christmas in July, sadly.
No, we have another Hanukkah episode coming up.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, remember later on we'll get to it after.
Oh no, you're right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Anyway, getting back on point though, I do love that the trickster is being inclusive with his death traps because you didn't think it was all Christmas, did you? Happy Hanukkah, you dreidel! I made you out of seafood. It's delightful. Only in the Flash could we get exploding dreidels, Tiki, and it works.
Do you think this is because the trickster is just trying to be PC, or is it because he's actually Jewish?
I gotta tell you, it's entirely possible. I'd buy it honestly. And you know what's funny though? Harley Quinn is actually Jewish. Not many people know this. Harley Quinn is intended to be Jewish.
Sure.
And by that logic, I'm saying you want to make kind of a Joker Harley leap, or like kind of like a vague transcendental Joker Harley leap. You could say maybe the trickster is Jewish. I don't know. I'm just saying he's very steadfastly interested in Christmas. So I would say probably not Jewish, but by the same token, I think he's just being PC. So that's my theory on it.
Okay, so we get the I'm seeing someone gag as Flash says to hold him.
Yeah, this is a great classic flashback. I think it's the first time they pulled this. I think where he says "hold me," and they have all these. They're surrounded. It's a great image, by the way. They're surrounded by all of these exploding, spinning dreidels that are like the C4s, like dent, 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 dent. You know, like the beepings going up as it's about to detonate. So, hold me. You know, I'm seeing someone's. Me too. And he uses the tornado arms. This is a classic thing with the Flash, where he'll spin his arms really fast so he can like kind of fly for a moment, and he kind of like this tornado spin effect, and that's how he kind of levitates he and Patty out of danger as the explosions go off.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. We have after the explosion, we have this great jiggle wiggle fatherhood parallel here, where Spivot mentions that her father got it
for a brief moment. I thought I was like, "Oh my God, is she the daughter of Earth 2 Harrison Wells?"
No, man, that'd be interesting, but no. No. Let's see.
No wonder she's so invested in Harrison Wells.
No, but seriously, I do like that we're with that. It has to be very intentional. We mentioned that of all things, one, to put her father in the play, but secondly, I would like to think to strengthen that fatherly, parallel because, we connect to the Harrison Wells Scrooge arc, kind of the Scrooge syndrome, if you will, of like, he's separated from his daughter this holiday season. She's separated from her father for a dark reason.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Joe is kind of having his own. They're all grappling with kind of issues of father. It's kind of a father, kind of a Scrooge with a father gimmick instead of the old long lost sister gimmick. Well, the long dead sister. I'm sorry, that old thing. Anyway, so she has a really good heart to heart with the Flash, and of course, this kind of makes me love the Patty Flash relationship even more because they both have lost a parent in a crime took their parents away.
And this kind of reminds me of like a season 1 rooftop chat in a way.
Sure, and something it's even cooler too. Now that I think about it, I love they're both taken away by a Flash villain. They both it wasn't just like a common criminal. It was like like the Weather Wizard and the Reverse Flash, two Flash villains that killed their parents.
Of course, Reverse Flash is a much cooler Flash villain, but no disrespect to Patty.
Sure. I mean, I got to tell you though, Liam McIntyre. It's been a while since I've.
Go ahead.
The Weather Wizard. He plays the Weather Wizard. I got to tell you, he's quite delightful in this because it was a while since I've seen him back, and seeing him back is like, yeah, he was just to tie things in here, folks. In Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay, he was the voice of Captain Boomerang, another Flash villain. So
I thought he sounded familiar.
Yeah, he's getting around. It's kind of nice.
Nice.
So that was really good heart to heart with the Flash. We have really good shadow and lighting. You're right. This is the rooftop kind of scene here where Flash is obscuring his face in the staging of the scene and everything, where he warns her that she's being reckless. He says, "Oh, you sound like someone in my life." Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. And she confesses that she blames herself for her father's death. And this is a sad story here. And why you make me cry, Christmas, Flash? Why? This is a sad story here where Patty reveals that she ditched work. Her father worked at a shoe shop, and it was a small business. Didn't make a lot of money. and she ditched work one day without calling him or anything to hang out with her friends, and he went to make the deposits at the bank one day, and Martin, when he was a bank robber, he shot him for the deposits. Not a lot of money, even. One of the great insults of it too. Just him shot him for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And she fears that Barry Allen, not the Flash, she fears that Barry's going to be scared off by kind of her inner demons. Again, if she only knew, scared off by her inner demons, that she's kind of becoming darker with this guy coming back, and it's just, I don't know why I feel so comfortable talking to you. It's kind of like it's almost like a Back to the Future. Like, it's like when I kiss you, it's like I'm kissing my brother. It's like one of those moments where it's well, it's easier to talk to somebody with no face, which I think is true. I'm going to read into this. I think it's kind of like it is kind of like why Gordon and Batman have kind of such a trust. Like, you don't know this guy, but that's maybe a reason you can rely on this guy. It's kind of an ideal before he's a man, sort of thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So Flash warns that, look, even if you get him, this won't make things better. And again, Tiki, this is wonderfully connecting to the Reverse Flash of the, like, hey, I got my guy, I got a confession, I got everything I want, but I'm still not happy. He was right so far, and I just love that we're connecting that.
Yeah,
here.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, meanwhile, Patty, she's not answering her calls. The wand is done, and Tiki, this is iconic from the Weather Wizard in the comics. He had like a weather wand that he would use to channel his powers. So I love they inverted that for this show. They use this to defeat the Weather Wizard. Kind of neat reversal there. Anyway, so Caitlin has faith in Barry. All's good. They're like, yeah, I'm sure you're going to reach Patty. It's everything's going to work out. We have Mark Hamill in a Santa suit.
Oh my god! Yeah.
This is delightful. Mark Hamill in a Santa suit, like kind of essentially at a mall like an outdoor mall gathering. It's like basically like a Rockefeller Center skating ring outside. You can meet Santa, and you have this line of kids, and we have.
We have a little boy who's asking for like an iPad, an iTouch.
He's asking for all these all these things here, and
oh ho ho, dial it back, Mr. Greedy.
That's a little out of Santa's price range. He gives him a box and says, remember now, don't open till tomorrow. And of course he pulls off, and it's just for dramatic awesome effect here, he pulls off the beard. It's a surprise.
Honestly, Dragon, I gotta say, like, minor nitpick, like, you're absolutely right. He pulls off the beard just for dramatic effect. And there's a whole line of kids that are like watching him. You know what I mean? It's like,
to be fair though, it's honestly looks like he just pulled the mustache off because he still has the beard on. It's not like he pulled the whole thing off, just like he's uncovering his mouth a little bit. So I think it's okay. So
like I said, still the episode, of course, it's just like being a little bit careless there, just for dramatic effect. But you know what? I'll take it. I
love how chilling and holiday this is here, where we have this the trope of a character in a Santa suit. Oh, not only that, he's giving out gifts to children. I just love this chilling thing of the trickster, this very dangerous individual giving gifts that we later will find.
I think that the C4 Dreidels were an amazing Christmas present. Well, my God, do I have an awesome present for you. It's called Bomb in a Box.
Oh my God, yes.
Get your Bomb in a Box now.
Bomb in a Box, coming to a store near you.
Warning, may cause fatal death.
In some cases. So yes, but you have this great chilling image of like the act break here, like all these kids lined up in all these boxes that we know some bads come with these boxes, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. Oh yeah, so then we have
100 Gwyneth Paltrows from 100 different multiverses.
Actually, what it is, it's like a bunch of like Gwyneth Paltrow Barbie doll heads and like boxes or something. You get to actually see Gwyneth Paltrow's head this time. No 2-hour jip for you.
All right.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So then we have Zoom and Zoom and Harry have a little meeting here, and Harry says he needs more time for his offer, and Zoom really chillingly, and Tony Todd really delivering here in the voice here, where he says, I could always go upstairs and kill more of your friends. And Harry's just asking for one more day, and he's saying basically Zoom kind of he hammers in the reminder here, saying, "I'll tell your daughter you said hello." He's much deeper and more intimidating than that, folks. And just go trust me on that. So then we have
really quick. I really like the way this guy's mouth is animated.
Yeah, it's a practical mask, Tiki. That's not CG.
Oh, really? Wow, I wouldn't have even called that.
And obviously, like the lightning around him is CG, but they know the mouth moving for all intents and purposes. I mean, that is a. I mean, I'm saying that's a molded mask, and they might do like a Deadpool pass on it. I don't think so, though. I think there's a small chance of it, where basically they work with a practical mask, then maybe they alter it a little bit. But I mean, in all honesty, it's a TV budget, so they might have to actually do that practically.
Well, you know what? You know me. I like my practical effects, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Either way, it's impressive. It's either like 80% practical or the full 100. Either way.
Oh,
So let's see. Getting back to okay, so the big okay, so they learn of the big tree lighting ceremony trap here, and the weather wizard has basically where we the Flash is baited into coming to the big tree lighting ceremony trap. They track the weather wizard by kind of following pockets of weather and such. That's how they find them. And then we have this great, and this is a great scene. This is what kind of like the weather wizard really came alive for me here. He's just such a mean, he's such a delightfully mean guy, you know.
mm-hmm.
Where he's on top there. He's such a cocky guy too. Where he's on top of this, he's on a rooftop, and he's saying, "You know, I wonder if you could help me out here. I'm just wondering how take you to jail. Sure, no, no, no.
You know what, Dragon? I gotta say that line was a little bit of a groaner.
It was
Like
kind of
Flash, that's a little bit of a stretch to make a jab.
honestly, I thought it was kind of cute because these guys have history with each other. It's just like they're like the almost the brothers of the neighbors, like less brother, more like they're the neighbors who like they're like the neighbors in the small cul-de-sac. Like oh this guy, but they're somewhat friends. They're familiar, but they don't like each other. They're rivals, or I don't know. But anyway, so he's saying like take it to jail, Martin, anytime. So Martin is wondering. I wonder how I should kill all these innocent people down there with a massive hailstorm or acid rain. A little trickier, acid rain. What do you think? So Barry's about to pull the wand on him, the weather wizard wand here, and then Martin flies. Basically, he's using the air pressure to fly, which leads to a really cool chase of Flash running up and down buildings. Like he does this great slow mo thing where he runs on the tops of on the blades of a helicopter. Really sweet, really awesome. And this leads, he tackles the weather wizard and thinks, okay, well, the episode's over. Wrong. He's landed into a trap with the trickster, and then we establish the bomb threat. And again, I love this. I really like this as like a villain plot. What do you think?
Oh no, it absolutely works for me, and more importantly, I kind of feel like it fits in with almost like a Christian tone to it, where it's like he almost kind of has to make like this big sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, for like a one-off, it's a really good one-off villain plot. I'd say where it's basically there are literally 100 of these boxes in children's homes all across the city, and either if you don't basically either 100 families die or you die very publicly and very painfully. And I love that. And again, this is what I love about the weather wizard here.
And of course, the thing I like about the public thing of it all is effectively we had a very public display with Zoom earlier in the season.
Yeah. And it was very much they pulled that from a Batman story, by the way. They pulled that from what Bane did to him in Nightfall. Or Bane he broke Batman's back and he showed him in front of Gotham like, look at your hero now.
Oh,
neat. So yes, and I love that Martin had this great line here where he says like, me kill 100 families? No, just you. I'll take you gladly. I don't want to kill 100 families. I love that. The guy does. A lot of the Flash villains are not out for blood. They're out for revenge on the Flash, and that's how that goes, Tiki. Except for like certain cases like the Trickster or such. It's like Reverse Flash. Like not every Flash villain's out to kill people.
Sure.
Just their vendetta. Okay, so let's see. Basically, okay, so if you don't do this, then the casket makers are going to have a very Merry Christmas. He gives him the wand again, a great homage to the weather wizard who used this wand.
That's a really dark line, by the way.
It is. I liked it. And of course, the great little pull from the comics there, like he gives him the wand. Now it's the weather wizard holding his iconic wand. That's nice. Okay, so let's see. Now it's up to the team to bail Barry out of this situation here, where they have to find the bombs, 100 bombs, so Barry doesn't get killed here. So Harry gets an idea, gets a really clever idea, where Harry gets the idea to trace. If he can trace one bomb, he can dispose of all the bombs simultaneously. So Flash, he takes a heck of a beating.
Do you have a drone? Yeah. Does it fly? Yeah. Good. I'm going to need it, and you're not going to get it back.
And that's the wonderful thing about their dynamic, Tiki, is that these two guys, initially they're not crazy about each other, but they become really good friends as the season goes on. Like, Cisco and this Harry become really good pals.
Nice, nice. Oh, also, well, that's very appropriate because it's very much like a buddy cop thing since they start out being opposites.
I know, yeah, it's exactly what happened. That's great.
Also, Dragon, I totally forgot to bring this up, and I'm sorry, but like way earlier on in the episode when we have the Iris bit where it's like, look, it's snowing. I have written down in my notes like, yeah, that's because Tom Cavanaugh is in the room. Of course.
Oh, that's delightful. Sorry, folks. If anyone's curious, we're great fans of the TV movie Snow featuring Tom Cavanaugh. And
Arguably the best Christmas TV movie ever made.
It has my vote. I love it. At the very least, the most pleasant. All right. Let's see. Getting back to so Harry's plan. Sorry, just real quick. Oh yes. Okay. So again, Flash is taking a beating. Harry, this is a fun. There's kind of a mix between it. I viewed it as a Grinch reference, but it's intended to be a Terminator reference here, where Wells is at where Harry's at knocks on a family's door, and like a kid answers, like it's all decked out in Christmas. They have the Christmas tree and everything, and Wells is just saying, "Give me your toys." He demands for the. Give me your toys now, and he's doing it like the Terminator. Kavanaugh is doing it like the Terminator, like give me your boots and give me your clothes. That moment. To me, every time I watch it, always reminds me of like, oh my god, it's Tom Cavanaugh trying out for the Grinch. It's like Harrison Wells is the Grinch. That's delightful. Anyway, so he gets
my dream Grinch is still John Lithgow.
Me too. But... Yeah, I'm with you. So let's see. So the Flash is getting electrocuted. Harry's plan comes into play here, and by the way, this is a very intentional Breaking Bad reference.
Is it really?
It is, because think about it. Last time we had the Trickster, there was a Breaking Bad reference in that episode. Remember the whole like my Breaking Bad season 5, and here.
You're right. Yeah, sure.
Cisco has the line that is literally pulling from Breaking Bad. I'm saying the whole plot, but specifically the line is from Breaking Bad. So I'm inferring that the plot is also in reference to this. Where Harry's plan is to basically polarize the bombs, and you get rid of one bomb, then you can magnetize all the other bombs. Like you reverse the polarities, basically all the bombs in all the other households, the other 99 bombs. Go through the breach, so they're out of harm's way, and everything's swimmingly, everything's fine, and that happens. And of course, Cisco echoes Jesse Pinkman's famous line: "Magnets, oh
God, try again. Remember the Breaking Bad thing? Like, hey, remember science?
Yeah, science, yo." Yeah, science.
All pathetically, we're like, remember the good old days? That was a good bit.
We're thinking of the Omaze Breaking Bad chair, if anyone's curious. All right, anyway. So as the Trickster, basically before all the bombs are kind of swept up, but right before that moment, so the Trickster, he gets the final kill. Now the Weather Wizards has had his fun. He has a knife, and he's about to gut the Flash as promised, which is quite intimidating. I gotta say, Mark Hamill in a Santa suit about to gut a guy. It's just they're never going to see me as the man who saved Central City in his own deluded mind. His own delusional way of I'm going to be the guy who killed for the villains. I'm going to be the man who saved Central City. So of course the bombs go, and they say, "Barry, the bombs are gone." So then it's like too late. He wraps the Trickster up in Christmas lights, which is a delightful image, by the way. He uses the wand to zap Martin's powers away. And again, seems like the episode's over, but then Patty arrives, Tiki. What happens?
Well, at first it looks like Patty's going to arrest Flash, which I thought was like kind of was startled by at first, but no, she's just kind of she wants to she kind of shackles him.
Yeah, she uses like the meta containment thing that Cisco built, like pins his leg essentially, so he can't run.
And this is a really good scene, Dragon. I love that this is kind of like the you know, kind of like the big moral dilemma of it all kind of coming into focus.
Oh, it's great. You want to take them through?
Yeah, sure. So Flash is just like, you know, she really wants to
Kill the Weather Wizard.
Yeah, she wants to kill the Weather Wizard, and Flash is like, no, this isn't going to solve anything. You're going to lose everything. Like, why? And this is a great line. Why are you going to let this guy take everything else that you still have?
Yeah, I mean, you say you pull that trigger, you're ending your own life. You know, he can't take anything else away from you if you don't let him. It's great. It's really good. I love these moments of the Flash here, where again it's so kind of old school. And apparently Grant Gustin, I found this out. Grant Gustin's a huge advocate of the of Christopher Reeve, and there's an episode in the season 2 that really speaks to him doing kind of his own take on a Christopher Reeve performance, which is wonderful.
Uh-huh.
But you get a sense like the hopeful and idealism of the Flash here, where he's trying to reach out to somebody, and it's really powerful. And the Flash can just like tell someone like, "Hey, don't seek your revenge." And this coming from the guy who he wanted to seek revenge against the Reverse Flash, the man who killed his mother. So I love where this is coming from, Tiki. It's so great and character intermittent, you know.
Sure.
I didn't know your father, but he wouldn't want you to do this over him. And of course, then this leads to this beautiful moment where again, I'm not just saying beautiful here, folks. Of the character who accounts says this as Patty arrests the Weather Wizard. We have Mark Hamill as the trickster. Again, this is he's tied to the post in the Christmas light.
I love how Mark Hamill in this episode, like, I mean, Mark Hamill has next to no substance in this episode. You kind of have to admit that, but he's kind of like rolling with the punches. He's just kind of like, you know what? I've blown it. I'm not going to get away with my evil plan, but it's so beautiful, and I'm going to be emotionally touched by this. I'm just going to roll with the punches here. I'm going to take the good where I can find it.
That was beautiful. And as he says that, and this is the big moment I was talking up here, is that this is classic Trickster. There's a very special episode from the anime, from Justice League Unlimited, that kind of captures this. But on the whole, the Trickster is played in the comics as a guy who is just very. The guy's not all there. He's not all bad, but he's he's a guy who. What they've really done is, like, if he's on his medication, he's fine. He actually can be made sane. I'm sorry, I'm not explaining that well, but my point is, there's this beautiful moment in Justice League Unlimited where they kind of summarize the Trickster, in that he's a super villain, but again, it's like a Flash rogue where, like, he's just doing this because it's fun, and he has like all these elaborate Trickster stuff, and he'll try to kill the Flash, but not not with any mouse behind it, because it's what he does. And there's this moment where the Flash doesn't beat him to a pulp when he foils him. The way he foils him is he walks up to him and he says, "James," because his name's James Jesse. Says, "James, have you been taking your medication?" And he says, "Nah, they keep me down." And the Flash says, "James, you're wearing the costume again." He says, "Oh, so I am." And the idea is that the Flash, he actually worked in the rehabilitation of the Trickster. And this is a long way of getting to the point here, folks, where essentially the Trickster, he can have these nice light moments and that's what Mark Hamill captured here, where he'd be wrapped up in it too, like, that was so beautiful, without being like, I want to kill the Flash. Again, the guy's like manic. He can go from, up and down like that. It's delightful. And he captured that element here, and that's like, this is the main Trickster part of the episode. The rest of it is just kind of Mark Hamill having a good time, and either way, it's fine. Just this is all the beautiful little subtle Trickster moment we got here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then we have Joe and Barry. They've had.
Here we go. I need my Barry Allen.
Yeah, this is that equivalent moment here, folks, where Joe and Barry. It's kind of like chalk it up to another Joe and Barry grand slam here, where they check in and.
Barry, I saw Pulp Fiction and it disgusted me, and I want to bring sanctity back to the moment of a father giving a watch to his son, Barry. I want to bring that back, Barry.
Yes. So basically, it was a lesson in forgiveness, and I love that as also like a great thematic thing of the episode too. We'll get to the big scene of that for me, and right after this scene here. But basically, Joe's learned to forgive himself. Patty's learned to kind of forgive, forgive herself, and again, all of this here, like after Joe's kind of worked through the whole, he blamed himself. He and Jesse Martin is so beautiful in this moment here, where he says, "I have a son." And he says, "Yeah, you have a son." Like, they're both like, "Oh my God, you have a son."
Too. Yeah.
And then he gives him the gift.
Like, I know, right?
Yeah, and he gives him the watch. He says, "No, Joe, I can't." Again, Barry knows the significance of this watch. I can't take that, Joe. And Joe, that's so beautiful here. Where he says, "I said I would give this to my son, and I have." Essentially, he says that, and
That's essentially the "I need my Barry Allen" bit, right?
Yeah, it's great. So then we have my favorite moment of the episode here. Oh my god! Short of the moment with the trickster, this is the one that gets me about this here. This is my favorite one. In season 2, this is my favorite moment of Grant Gustin acting. Probably love. Harry is on the other side of like some glass, like two-way glass. So at points he can't hear him unless you hit like the intercom button, and he can't hear him. He's working on stuff. He's busy trying to save his daughter, all that stuff. So Barry just saying this to himself after Joe has left, and again, this is where he works through it. Oh, it's so beautiful. He basically says to Wells, he says to Harry, who looks identical to to the Harrison Wells that was actually the Reverse Flash from season 1. He said he basically tells his father figure, says, "I know you're not him," and that was the great thing of season 2. He's working through the pain of like, I'm working with a guy who looks like the man who I associate with killing my mother. Mm-hmm. And that's really hard for him to forgive. And again, he knows that he's not the same Wells, but Barry still had to work through that. It's been a hard struggle for him. And this is like the big kind of culmination of all of that. This is the big mid-season thing of it all here, folks, where he tells the father figure that kind of condemned him at the beginning of this season, that he will be happy. I know you're not him. And he basically, the only way that he can continue to work with Harry is if he can come to grips with the pain of the original author of his pain with the Reverse Flash. And he basically tells that father figure, but just looking at this Wells, speaking to the Reverse Flash. He accepts that he will hate him and he will always hate him. But by the same token, he just can't hate him anymore. It's just too painful. And he's learned this from Patty, that if he just continues to go on hating the Reverse Flash, it's going to be counterproductive and it's going to distract him, and he can't allow that. So he comes to this really adult realization where he forgives his enemy. He forgives the father figure who challenged him, saying, "You're never going to be happy." And he proves him wrong by saying, "I will be happy, and to do that, I'm going to forgive you. The most unlikely of all things, I'm going to forgive you so I can be happy." That's the ultimate screw you to your arch enemy. And by the same token, forgiving your enemy. And it's so beautiful. And there's a payoff to this in the big crossover event. I won't spoil it. There's a really great payoff down the line to this, but I just love him forgiving the Reverse Flash in this moment so he can kind of work with Harry. To me, it's a perfect moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he then invites Harry to the Christmas party at Joe's house. He says, "I can't celebrate without my daughter." It's like, I love the internal pain that Kavanaugh communicates with that, where again, he's communicating.
There's a Lost reference that reminds me of Dragon. I won't bore you with the details, but can I just say, thank you, Hugo. You've been a good number 2. All right, that's all I'm gonna say.
I love the layers that Kavanaugh's playing here, because again, he's he's flirting with betrayal here, but by the same, that's why he really isn't coming to that party. But by the same token, there's a lot of truth there that he's doing all of this for his daughter, and he's missing out on that. He's not there emotionally, but he does support and care about his friends. I just love the layers in that performance that he's given there. But there's a very subtle line of like, it's not Christmas, I can't celebrate with that. So now we're at the big Christmas party.
Yes.
So Jay and Caitlin finally kiss, and it's about time. These two kids have had it hot for that.
Mistletoe. What's mistletoe?
He's messing around with good old Caitlin. So then, let's see. So Patty drops by. Hooray! Patty drops by. She's wearing this hilarious Christmas sweater. She says, "Oh, I hope you have a sweater for me," just like that.
Can I just say, like, I'm going to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas parties this year at Disney World, and I am like on a quest to find the best ugly Christmas sweater I can, and this is a good contender. Like, I would definitely wear a matching one of this one.
Yeah, I had my Deadpool cardigan if I ever need from a Christmas sweater.
Oh man, that would be a good one.
Yeah. Thing is, though, I like it. It's kind of like a Mr. Rogers version of Deadpool to me. It's kind of like, it's.
I'm surprised that they haven't done a Mr. Rogers Deadpool parody yet. That seems like something that could be on the table in the future for like Deadpool 3 marketing.
That'd be fun for me.
All right.
So okay, so then after a little cute sweater gag, here we go, folks. Here's like the Christmas miracle scene here. This is beautiful. You want to take him through it?
Christmas. Oh yeah, sure. This is very much the Oh, I need to get a grip, Dragon. I need to get a grip because it fits so much. It's so Hey Arnold.
Oh my God! Yeah, it is Hey Arnold.
Yeah, just like the knock on the door and like, hey, someone's here to see you.
Would you equate it there emotionally, or just compare it to? Like, do you think it's kind of a similar heft? What do you think?
I mean, look, it's the Hey Arnold Christmas special. It's literally the first Christmas special we ever did on Christmas in July for good reason. Like, I wouldn't say it's comparable, but I mean that's not fair, you know. It's
Well, I don't mean better. I just mean like, would you say it's kind of in the same vein?
it's in the same vein, sure.
Okay, so Joe and Wally.
So yes, enter Wally West. Wally West shows up at the door. Of course, Iris and Joe know exactly who it is as soon as they open the door.
This is the first time you see him, folks. It's the first entrance of Wally West into the show.
Very much makes me want to watch through the season further along at this point, Dragon. I think I probably will. And yeah, that's about it. Wait, we get the post credit stinger.
A little coda at the end there. It's a, but again, just on the whole, like the sweet parallel with the father and the children dynamic, all that kind of brought home with Wally West being invited in for Christmas. So and again, with continuing with the fatherly parallel here. So Harry, he meets with Harry confronts Zoom, and he's figured out his plan. That he wants to get the Flash faster. He wants to fatten him up like a Christmas goose, so he can steal his speed. So Zoom, and that's the gist of what Zoom's main plan is. He wants to become the fastest speedster, and he's siphoning off and stealing speed. He's tapping into this. He's stealing Speed Force from speedsters, essentially. So, again, he already did it with Jay Garrick. So it's just kind of he wants Flash is going to be the big get. He's going to be the Christmas goose. He's going to be the big. The Kuna Matata, it's going to be the no worry. Once I get this guy, no more worries. He's going to be the coup de grace. So basically, Harry agrees to help Zoom steal the Flash's speed, which is a big betrayal, and again, a betrayal for a noble reason because Zoom presents him with his daughter as a show of goodwill. And poor Jessie, poor Jessie here. She sees her father for a brief. What do you think of Jessie anyway, from the little that you've seen of her so far? Because this isn't the first time you've seen her.
It isn't the first time I've seen her.
No, you remember you saw her in like the scene where in Earth 2 with Jay Garrick and everything. Like, the whole she was.
Yeah, right. I mean, Dragon. Honestly, like I binged all this. Like I don't have an opinion, man. You're asking me the wrong thing at the wrong.
Well, just trust me. She gets even better. Like I like her more than Wally. Honestly, I think she's really good.
Okay.
Wally's good. I'm just saying. I think she's delightful. Anyway, so Jessie, she's presents for Jessie. She's very scared and she's like, "Yo, Daddy, please, like help." And then she's like, I won't let him take you again. Of course, he takes her, and it's real heartbreaking. And it's again Tom Cavanaugh again in these little moments here. Tom Cavanaugh is just selling it, man. He's just selling the heartbreak of it all. And he sells it with the last line. Again, he did this in the first Christmas special. We end on Tom Cavanaugh delivering a really chilling last line of the Christmas special, the whole "Merry Christmas, Flash." And what we have here is he says, "I will help. Will you work with me? Will you? Are we in agreement?" He says, "I will help you steal the Flash's speed." Oh yeah, that's yes.
I mean, not quite as thematically appropriate as "Merry Christmas, Flash," but definitely big on the stakes.
Sure, I mean, but yeah, that's how you do a mid-season Christmas finale, man.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Final thoughts, Dragon. What do you got?
Final thoughts. Look, it's not as groundbreaking as the season 1 special. It's not, but like season 2, it's having fun in a very comic book show. It's We had the Rogues Gallery team up. Mark Hamill was fun. Not as like perfect as he was in the Trickster episode the first season, but it was like, hey, he was back, and we put him in a Santa suit. It was like the episode had a lot of heart, and I think it brought it in those great emotional scenes like Flash, talking Patty down, and of course the big Joe and Wally reunion. We had a lot of great acting, and of course, again, we really I love that we brought home the whole, the great father, basically the whole perennial theme, the whole fathers and daughters, and basically what fathers and childs, I should say. I guess that's kind of the great perennial thematic thing that tied into my favorite element, which again was like the challenge issued at the beginning of the season, where Reverse Flash is saying, like, "Hey, even if you had everything you want, you still wouldn't be happy." And just that great emotional. Again, it was a great kind of stake in the ground to say, we've made great progress and now we're moving forward in Barry's arc. So I thought it was it just feels like a really great midpoint. It's very impressive in how they're connecting those parallels. Very heartwarming, holiday installment of the Flash overall. Again, maybe not as huge and significant as the Man in the Yellow Suit, but definitely was another. My second favorite in all the holiday installments of the Flash, appropriately so. So again, it was a solid installment and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, Dragon. It's not quite as strong as the first one, but it's up there. It's got a good villain reunion. It's got a lot of heartfelt stuff in there. I think I think that the Man in the Yellow Suit works better as a standalone episode, but this works really well in the context of season 2, and of course that's good for me because I've just been binging season 2 all day. So it's fine. It's fine. I'm not blown away by it like I was by the first episode, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And as a whole for season 2, I am very much enjoying it and look forward to diving deeper into it. Okay, so let's take a peek under the wrapping paper, Dragon. This is one of your favorites. So what do we got?
I think you mean one of you. We're talking about something kind of friendly. I'd imagine, something kind of like pulled from the '90s. Something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead with one of your favorites. You're right. This is one of my favorites.
Yes, I think you want to give them a proper tease.
Yes, we were on a break from talking about Friends, but now we're back.
Yep, that's right, folks. We're talking about Friends again. Yeah.
Yay? Question mark.
Yeah, question mark, yeah. Okay, so we'll see how that goes.
We're talking about the season 2 Christmas episode for Friends.
Yes.
Okay, so tropes, Dragon.
Yes, I'm going to recap a little holiday tropes here. Okay, of course, we had kind of the speedster Merry Christmas, kind of more in a direct kind of seasonal trope, but yes, there's definitely one there.
We have the tragedy around the holidays.
Certainly, we have kind of our Scrooge syndrome, kind of our multiple Scrooge, kind of the characters kind of suffering from Scrooge-esque syndromes. Not foolhardy, like, again, they're not, they're not like grumpiness the most. Not really, not really kind of deep-seated issues, so to speak.
Big heartfelt family reunion.
Yes. Of course, we have Christmas lights. We got guys in Santa costumes. We got the Santa giving out gifts. We have Christmas products, including kind of our Flash and Green Arrow toys. We got Mr. Jiggle Wiggle. Yep, we have the coveted toy with those action figures, Bomb in a Box, and Exploding Dreidels. Get yours soon.
Well, I don't know about you, Dragon. I think Exploding Dreidels are the coveted toy.
Well, sure, especially for like those kids you want to rein in line. It's what you get them. You get them Bomb in a Box or the C4 Dreidel. Seen it before? I don't think so.
God.
God. Okay, let's see. We had snow, a lot of snow, thanks to the Weather Wizard.
Yeah, and thanks to Tom Cavanaugh.
Christmas Vendetta. Sorry. Christmas Vendetta.
Sure.
The big sentimental Christmas gift with the watch. Let's see. Oh yes, I forgot. I just want to make sure I get this in there. We had a Flash Christmas ornament. His symbol was on the Christmas tree. I forgot to mention that. Okay, I think that's. We Mark Hamill singing Christmas songs, not specifically Mark Hamill. We had Christmas songs being sung and kind of changed to psychotic versions of Christmas songs, which were delightful. And I think that's, I guess, on the whole, a man in a red suit as well. Flash, red suit. Uh-huh. Anyway, you got anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Oh boy, Tiki, I tell you, looking through all these tropes, and these are all wonderful. It's such a delightful experience. But Tiki, it just racks my brain to no end. It just makes me want to run so fast back in time that I could ask the former versions of ourselves, why didn't we come up with a name for this process in which we go through all these wonderful little holiday tropes, all these little delightful things, and we just, we can only like pinpoint a name, if only we could like go back in time. For all we know, it could be an alternate timeline where we changed that and we erased, we basically uncepted the idea from our minds in some way, shape, or form to not know what the heck we're going to call this. What to call this little process. I feel that we know this, but somehow something has wiped it from our memories time and time again. Tiki, do you think light? I'm going to ask you the apropos Flash-related question here. Do you think lightning can strike twice in the same place? Do you think you can tell me? You think you can, with your lightning fast wit? Do you think you can come up with a name for this trope making process? I mean, Tiki, you were the wonderkin this round. You watched all 9 of those episodes like there was no tomorrow. You dazzled everybody. Can you do it again, man? I'm gonna put all the pressure on Tiki right now. We're gonna see if he can deliver. I mean, he might not be able to, folks. I don't know. We'll see. Tiki, can you think of any name for the scientific yet seasonal process? Because I got nothing. Save us, man. Would you save us, please? Be the man who didn't save Central City, but the man who saved Christmas in July.
I'm going to blow your mind. You ready for it?
I'm ready for it. Hit me.
All right, putting the mistletoe underneath the microscope next time on Christmas in July.
La 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 la.
That's right. C4 dreidels, folks. Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of